Corruption is difficult to explain as to what it really is because it manifests itself in different forms. So the most common form of corruption is bribery, in which case A pays a bribe to B so that they may obtain something that favors them. So a typical example will be a mother of a child paying a school principal in order to get a space at the school, which would then involve two private individuals, and that is what we would classify as one of the ways in which corruption would occur in the private sector. And then in the public sector, that often involves individuals that are obviously involved in public administration. So typical example is the state capture we had, where individuals in the public sector were being paid monies so that they could give or award certain tenders, which would then financially benefit the person who's given the tender. So members of the public obviously have a way of reporting corrupt behavior, whether from private individuals or public officials, in which case the first and most important place in which they can go to is the police station, because at the end of the day, it is an offense. One other thing, however, is that the problem with corruption is that it involves two parties. So there is a giver of the bribe and the person who accepts the bribe. So both of you are now or are considered to have committed the offense. So it is difficult for you to actually be able to report the offense if you were involved in the corruption. So the best way to avoid not being in that position is actually not participating. So if you committed the offense, in other words, you are either the giver of the bribe or the person who accepted the bribe, then your best recourse would be to obviously go and report this as an offense, and then find ways in which you can minimize your accountability in the offense. And when we say that, we're basically saying try and perhaps negotiate with the National Prosecuting Authority, who are then responsible for prosecuting the offense of corruption. However, the best way is to not be involved in such, so that it would also be easier for you to report those who are involved in such acts. So members of the public are able to report corruption anonymously. So that would be reaching out in the different whistleblower channels that are available within the different institutions. So for instance, if you want to report a police official, there is a line that you would call at the South African Police Service to do so without anyone knowing that you did. There's also Corruption Watch in South Africa, which is very active within the whole anti-corruption fight, and they also have a whistleblower line, in which case there you are able to report all public officials, all important government institutions, even private companies that are involved in corruption. There's also just the best way, I guess, would be to report it to the police. But if you don't feel comfortable, especially when you are reporting a police official, then you may use other channels that are available for you.